Welcome back for another video. I've been dreading this one. I think in the many years I've been playing FPL making videos, I don't recall a week quite as bad as this one. It's a perfect storm where basically all the high owned players that didn't own returned. Like João Pedro hat-trick and the assist, Semenyo scored. Yeah, plus I've seen auto subs like Senesi's 11 points, Anderson's 12 off the bench. But yeah, in my case, O'Reilly and Anderson didn't even play a minute, so no one off the bench. Rice hit DEFCON, but then he suddenly went from 13 back to 11, so he missed out. Bruno was over 100% effective ownership at my rank, so his 8 points actually didn't help. Haaland blank as captain. Last season, my worst Gameweek rank was something like 7.7 million, and this Gameweek it was 9.9 million. Anyway, 41 points all out, huge red arrow, rank tripled, 8k to 24.8k. Obviously still a great rank to build on, and I'm sure some of you thinking Crimea River, but terrible Gameweeks suck at any rank. I'm now ranked where I was back in Gameweek 15, and it took 12 weeks from there, back in Gameweek 15, to finally break 10k. So if the aim is to finish top 10k, then it's going to have to be done a lot quicker in these final 9 game weeks. Given the crazy high ownership of the likes of Ekatike, João Pedro, Semenyo, it's crucial that my players deliver these next couple of weeks as well. Oh, and lastly, Rogers. So he finally gets a goal involvement for me. I've lost count, that would have been the 9th or 10th game with him blanking in my team, and it ends up getting ruled offside by a toenail, so no assist. Absolute disaster pick Rogers has been. I'm actually thinking of selling this week, despite him not blanking in Gameweek 31, playing West Ham home. Anyway, let's have a look at how you got on. Tatiana says, I think this might be my worst ever. She finished on 38 points. Sanchez dropped by Rosinia, Anderson's 12 pointer stuck to the bench, 9 blanks in the starting 11. FPL Prawn says, I took Haaland out, so the stress was intense, but what a week. 100k down to 48k. He finished with exactly double my score as well, which says it all. 82 points all out and inside 50k. Nice work. Kesh says, this is up there with the worst lol. He finished on 29 points. He had 10 blanks in his team. Bruno's assist was the only return. Absolutely brutal week to have Saliba and Wilson both missing out on the bench as well. And last one, trigger warning here for how he got this score. So Matt says, I forgot to change my team on the deadline, and I didn't even know that I had Tarkowski as captain until the morning, since I changed my starting 11 after the last deadline. So Tarkowski gets him 30 points alone, and a score of 76 points all out. Crazy work. I think you better pay attention to captaincy next time, or maybe don't actually. Thanks for all the submissions. Let's go through the team for Gameweek 30. Double Arsenal defence, home to Everton. I've got Raya and Gabriel before the blank in 31. The last time Arsenal lost to Everton at the Emirates was 6 years ago now, in the 2021 season. Arsenal have 4 clean sheets in their last 6 meetings against Everton, home and away. So yeah, Gabriel in the back 3, and the other 2 defenders are O'Reilly and Van Dijk. Arsenal top of the Gameweek 30 clean sheet probabilities. They've been given a 52% chance this week. And then it's Liverpool and Brentford on 40%, and then it's Man United, Bournemouth and Brighton on 32%. Alisson was missing from Liverpool's Champions League squad that faced Galatasaray, reportedly due to fitness issues, so hopefully he'll be back between the sticks for Spurs home. It's a great fixture right now, obviously. Spurs have lost 6 consecutive matches in all comps for the first time in their entire history. Did you guys see the Champions League game against Atletico? Spurs were 3-0 down by 15 minutes, and that triggered Tudor to take Kinski off, and Vicario came on in goal, and he conceded 5 minutes later. It still ended 5-2. I'm thinking of giving O'Reilly one final start, and it's probably going to be the final game week owning him this season. You might be thinking surely you'd keep him for City's double game week. Although he has been great recently, I think I'd actually just opt for Gay and take the reliable safe minutes that he offers. Now obviously Crystal Palace versus Man City is one postponement that does need rearranging, so that will become a double game week for Crystal Palace and Man City wherever that drops in. Now that we've got the FA Cup draw as well, we can paint a picture of the potential double Gameweek 33 fixtures as well. So here's a graphic I made that's got the list. So the teams that could double are Arsenal, Brighton, Bournemouth, Burnley, Chelsea, Palace, Leeds, Liverpool, Man City and Newcastle. It's not the most appealing double Gameweek fixtures honestly, but as it stands my strategy is still wildcard in Gameweek 32, bench boost 33, free hit 34. The teams that double in 33 will be expected to blank in Gameweek 34. Either Crystal Palace or Man City are expected to get 2 double game weeks this season, so that's positive if you've still got your triple captain, if Man City get the 2 doubles anyway. That's because Man City have got that postponement against Palace still to be rearranged, plus the chance of a second one if they knock Liverpool out of the FA Cup. West Ham are still in the FA Cup, so you might be wondering where they are on this list. Well, West Ham play on Monday in Gameweek 33, so that makes it really unlikely for them to double then. The Premier League wouldn't make them play on Monday and again on Wednesday, with just a day gap in between. So they'd probably just play in Gameweek 34 still, and it'd be the following midweek instead. But yeah, I think it would be Gay, Semenyo and Haaland for me, Triple City for the doubles. One other thing to mention is that the Premier League could move that Man City versus Palace postponement into Gameweek 33. So instead of Palace's second game being Liverpool and Man City's being Burnley, instead Man City and Palace would play each other in the second of their double Gameweek 33 fixture, and then the Gameweek 34 postponement goes later. That would make a potential double Gameweek 36 absolutely bonkers for Man City, because they would have theoretically Brentford home and Burnley away. Anyway, that graphic gives you a good idea. We're likely to have 4 double Gameweek fixtures, so 8 teams from this list of 10 here. It could actually just be 3 double Gameweek fixtures, so it'd be 6 teams in that case doubling. As always, I'll make sure you know everything that you need to know for the doubles and blanks, so make sure you're subscribing. In the midfield, it's Rodgers, Bruno, and Bumo, Rice and Dango. A yellow card and an assist ruled out for Rodgers last game, just what I needed that. There is a case for me selling him for Salah, and I moved Haaland down to a cheaper forward, and I wish I'd done that last week. The thing is, Rodgers doesn't blank in Gameweek 31, and West Ham home is not a bad fixture, so despite how bad he's been, I'm sort of stuck with him. I'd be booking in a transfer to sell Rice in Gameweek 31, and I'd need to spend a second move unless Mukiele's back. I'll talk more on transfers in a second. Only Semenyo and Bruno have got more points among midfielders this season than Rice. He's been incredible, and assuming that Arsenal beat Port Vale in the FA Cup, which of course they're heavy favourites to do, I think for their double game week, I'm likely to get Rice as opposed to Saka, and then go double defence like the last double game week. Man United have got the benefit of no midweek game before they face Villa, who've got to play Lille away on Thursday night. Man United performances have worsened in recent weeks for me since that initial burst that we saw under Karaj. They were quite fortunate to get 3 points away against Everton. I think they probably deserved a draw there. And they weren't looking that great against Palace, and then the red card changed that game. And then of course there was a loss to 10-man Newcastle last game week. I'm unlikely to retain the double Man United mid into the wildcard in a couple of weeks' time, but I think Bruno's got a good chance of staying in even with no double game weeks. And then lastly, Dango, he's got Wolves home this week. Now obviously Wolves have had some great results in recent weeks. The underlying data does still show they're a team that can be got at though. 25 big chances conceded over the last 6 is rock bottom in the league. 117 shots conceded is more than anyone. 14.5 XGC is worst. Dango went for a Panenka penalty in the FA Cup, which was saved, and ultimately Brentford got knocked out in the shootout because of that. I'm hoping that Andrews can forgive that one. And then up front it's Thiago and Haaland. Haaland's played West Ham 7 times and he's blanked just once ever. 11 goals, 2 assists in 7 games. What does his minutes look like with Real Madrid in the Champions League either side of West Ham away though? I think he starts personally, early sub if the game's wrapped up, so it is tough to sell him, but it does have potential. Liverpool are top for projected goals this week on 2.5, and then it's Man City and Arsenal on 2.1, Chelsea and Brentford on 2.0, and then Man United and Bournemouth 1.9 goals. The bench is Dubravka, Mukiele, Anderson and Mane. 3 free transfers, 0.9 mil on the bank. There's 2 directions that I'm currently looking at. So option 1 is to roll and just trust the process, despite how bad last game it was. Like Haaland versus West Ham is a fantastic fixture. Rodgers away versus Man United is the weak point. That's not great, but he is useful in Gameweek 31 with West Ham home. Although I can see myself holding him all the way to that fixture and he ends up on 2 points anyway. Option 2 is Haaland to João Pedro and Rodgers to Salah, and then captain Salah with Spurs home. João Pedro's got 76 points over the last 8 game weeks. He's blanked once over that run with 14 goal involvements in 8 games. Absolutely crazy form. He's got Newcastle home next. This also lets me bring in a Liverpool attacker to target that Spurs home game. Spurs are on 6 losses in a row, as I say, which is the first time that's happened in their entire history, and maybe that's about to be 7 or maybe 8 if they lose to Atletico next week. Obviously it's a completely different Salah to the one that we saw last season, who destroyed the all-time points record with 344 points. To put that in perspective compared to how he's doing now, Salah would need to average 27 points per game for the rest of the season just to match that. He's looking well past it this season, or maybe lack of motivation. I don't know what it is, but obviously I think he's 34 now, so age is catching up with him perhaps. He was also subbed early against Galatasaray at 60 minutes in the Champions League, even though Liverpool were trailing 1-0, which says a lot. That was unthinkable in any previous season. He basically always played 90. As it stands, I'm just leaning towards making the 2 moves, but I really need a positive update on Mukiele ideally, and I would also need Anderson to be back in the 11 next game against Forest, or I'll be on the back foot for Gameweek 31. So as it stands, as far as players for Gameweek 31, it would be Dubravka, Van Dijk, Anderson, Mukiele, Rogers, Bruno, and Bumo, Dango and Thiago. So that's 9 players with a fixture. If I make those 2 moves, it would be 10 players. And then in Gameweek 31, assuming that Mukiele's back and Anderson had started against Forest, I could do Rice to Wilson and that gets me 11 players out. It's not a very robust strategy though. Like, I would have a spare transfer in case of emergency if I make those 2 moves, but I really wanted to carry 1 into the wildcard. So the alternative path is to roll, and that does leave me in a stronger position in terms of transfers. In Gameweek 31, I'd have 4 free transfers, and I could do something like Haaland to João Pedro, Rice to Wilson, and I'd have another 2 free transfers. That could be something like O'Reilly to a Fulham defender who have Burnley home, or I'd just carry 2 into the wildcard. There is one other thing I forgot to mention, didn't write down on my video notes. So if Liverpool were to beat Man City in the FA Cup, there is a chance that Man City and Crystal Palace would no longer blank in Gameweek 31. Man City have got about 65% chance of progressing, so Man City are obviously big favourites to progress, but it's not out of the question for Liverpool to beat Man City. And if that happens, and if I've sold Haaland, then it would be a bit of a disaster to sell Haaland now, because then you'd probably want to get him back in for the Palace game. So that's also a factor. Maybe not a significant one, but it's worth a mention as well. As it stands, I am leaning towards making the 2 moves though, so it'd be João Pedro and Salah coming in. It is easier to consider taking Haaland's ownership on when it's probably just for the 1 week, that's for sure. But of course there is a small chance it could be for 2. There's also a chance that Liverpool beat Man City and they don't move that fixture into Gameweek 31 again. It could still go later. Anyway, make sure you're subscribed if you'd like to follow my team and other content this season. I'll see you soon for the next one.